Well, I have the lucky pleasure of hanging out with Marilyn Miglin this morning, a real icon in the beauty industry, and it's time to stop the show. This is the type of set that I love. When I can't make a decision, I can't even decide what ice cream I want. You don't have to decide what pheromone you want because you get all four of them. You're getting the classic, the tried and true, the famous pheromone. You're also getting the lighter version, which is the pheromone breeze. You'll get the pheromone gold. You requested it, we brought it, and it's like the jewel of the pheromone collection here, and it's the only place you can get it is in this set. And then you also get my favorite pheromone, which is the pheromone jasmine. $16.63 brings it home. You don't have to choose, you get them all, plus the cosmetic bag, 462-835. We haven't even gotten to it. Everybody's on board, and I do want to ask for your pheromone stories because I'm always blown away by the stories you have to tell and people's reactions.
Unbelievable. Right.
So let's talk about pheromone, because pheromone is the cornerstone of the Marilyn Miglin fragrance brand. People around the world know this fragrance, and it really is the most expensive fragrance to manufacture for you.
$600 the ounce, because there are 179 natural ingredients in pheromone. And there you see on your left on the screen is the original pheromone, which has not only the 179 natural ingredients, but those that are also documented on ancient papyrus. And it's interesting, there's a fragrance book out, and I was reading it last evening, and it talks about all of these wonderful ingredients in pheromone, and I was so honored because I didn't know it was going to be written, but that's really nice. Now, pheromone, in a word, means attraction. It means an organic system, or ingredient used for attraction, and I think that's what pheromone is all about, a form of unspoken words. So when you wear this, you know that you are communicating in a very unusual way.
But that's like the ultimate in decadence, because you have to understand, Marilyn has traveled the world to make pheromones. So you've got essential oils from France and Italy and Madagascar and Portugal.
And I just came back from Bhutan, and that's a place in the world where no one really even knows where it is. So I do travel, and I do bring very, very special oils back. And
so should we show the fragrance pyramid for pheromone? And remember, we can never in a million years put all the oils, because there's more than 179 beautifully blended ingredients in here.
And these are only a few of them, but you have, what makes this very fresh are the leafy greens and the orange flower and the bergamot. But then we have the Italian jasmine, and geranium leaves such a nice, clean note with us, and the iris of Florence and the cassis absolute. And well, and there you have the geranium bourbon, but it's like the bourbon that we all like that scent. Sandalwood from the East Indies, and the oak moss, and the vanilla absolute.
And that's
among those others that I told you are documented on ancient papyrus, like the Foti Tiang, which is the sexual stimulant.
And that's when you just put it on, you just feel the decadence and the luxury. So think about that, because this is the most expensive fragrance that Marilyn manufactures. You get to try that today. Then let's talk about the pheromone gold, Marilyn, because there is no other way you can get the pheromone gold unless you buy the set.
Well, when you have pheromone, and if you add a little bit of gold, it gives it just almost an irresistible movement and a shimmer and a feeling.
Like
the ingredients are really more expensive than gold.
Okay, so there are your notes for the pheromone gold. And so once again, every single one of these is different, even though it's got the pheromone base.
And you see the tonka beans here. That little tree has to grow for 18 years before it produces the little fruit, which they take the fruit out and dry the fruit and the seeds in the sun, and then they soak them in rum, and then they exude that wonderful, wonderful oil. But the black currant and the bergamot, Italian bergamot, and the sparkling florals and the gold chamomile, and the absolute
I love
cassis,
chamomile and fragrance.
And the ylang. Ylang is another aphrodisiac. And iris absolute, and the marigold is that golden. It's a beautiful, beautiful scent. And the jasmine absolute, well, that's really costly.
And by the way, we cannot find the Pheromone Gold. This came because people requested it.
Yes.
People wrote to you and said, please bring the gold, and this is the only way you can get it. Now we're experiencing a little bit of a hold on HSN, so if you are experiencing a hold, you know that you can shop with us many different ways, via hsn.com, via our free mobile app on your smartphone. Some of you can even shop by remote at home. So there are many ways to shop with us. If you're experiencing a hold, there's still time to talk to us too, so come on in. So remember, you cannot get the gold anywhere else but in this set. Let's talk about the Pheromone Breeze, Marilyn.
That's a new fragrance, a very new, and you know, fragrance goes through fashion changes just like our fashions, but Breeze happens to be the newest kind of a scent with blue flowers.
I like that.
And it's
so
we weren't using blue flowers before. The heliotrope and the blue honeysuckle and the Dakota lily and the white jasmine and
look at there,
the blue hyacinths and the sandalwood as well, but the pink grapefruit and the mandarin.
Marilyn?
Pardon
There's
me?
linden. I never see linden in a fragrance. If you've ever had linden tea, it's so soothing.
Isn't it lovely?
I grew up, my grandmother, for me, every night would make linden tea for us. So we call it tilo, and she would make it every single night for us. So I think of my grandmother when I think linden, and it's like a chamomile. It's very soothing and relaxing. So that's what's in your Pheromone Breeze. And as you can see, everybody's jumping in on
with you doesn't know what happened to him.
Right.
He's mesmerized.
He just knows that something's wonderful and he wants to be with you, or she wants to be with you, which is wonderful. And then you've got that bottom of the sandalwood, which is always, it's one of my favorites, very warm. And then let's talk about the Pheromone Jasmine, which has quickly become one of my favorites.
Well, and jasmine is that flower of unconditional love. And jasmine grows in every royal garden in the world. It's a night blooming flower. And of course, you love being out in the moonlight with a jasmine scent. There's just not, it's mesmerizing. True. And jasmine is so pungent and so feminine and so warm and so communicative.
And even people that don't like white florals love jasmine. Don't you find?
No one really realizes
like
what jasmine is.
No. Can we just talk about, remember what I said, Marilyn's fragrances are really, it's like the dying art of true fragrance, because Marilyn uses the true essential oils.
And it takes...
And she was saying, Leslie, I don't know how long we can do this to put essential oil of jasmine in a fragrance.
The real thing.
You were telling me the prices.
I was, but it takes 1 million blossoms of jasmine, the little white flower, which they soak in beeswax, and then it goes through a process of distillation where you separate the water from the oil and from the wax. But that jasmine absolute is over $70,000 now for 1 pound of jasmine absolute.
And this is not...
But Leslie, think they have to be hand-picked. You can't just run a machine through this field, absolutely, because you would destroy it. And you can't cut the blossom. You can't destroy it because it loses its wonderful,
its essence.
Wonderful
I know.
aroma.
You know what? And it deserves, it's worthy of being treated that way. A jasmine blossom is the most fragrant, beautiful fragrance. So my point is here, you are getting the wardrobe, the collection of Marilyn's #1 fragrance worldwide historically. You have never been able to try them all like this. Not this size, certainly, because you're getting the 1 ounce of each of them, and then you get the little bag to carry your fragrance along. You don't have to choose today. You get them all for $49.90. $16 though. $16.63 to find your favorite.
Think about the fact that Pheromone is here, the 1 ounce, and these are sprays, and these are eau de parfums. This is the 1 ounce, but you're getting this, the actual 1 ounce perfume, or the eau de parfum. The 1 ounce perfume sells for $600 the ounce. So that says a lot about one little bottle, doesn't it?
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
$600 an ounce. And so once again, you're saying, why? Why? Think about this. Marilyn's traveled the world. I mean, some of the ingredients in Pheromone are on ancient manuscripts or on papyrus, on the hieroglyphics of Egypt. And I mean, one of the reasons she was inspired to even make fragrance was one of her travels as a model and ballerina many years ago to Egypt, and she was inspired to do this. So you're getting ingredients from around the world, incredibly costly. We're talking about where the finest fragrances are made. Ingredients from Italy, from France, from Madagascar, from Portugal. The list goes on, you're getting that fragrance, the true pheromone, and then you get to try Pheromone sisters as well. So you get the Pheromone Gold, the Pheromone Breeze, the Pheromone Jasmine.
They're synergistic. So, Leslie, if you felt a little bit dairy one morning, you could put your pheromone on and say, oh, well, let me see what a little breeze would do.
Ooh.
But as I said, those are the new blue flowers.
I like that. So if you're loving this kit, I will tell you, you need to jump on in. Already in this presentation alone, we have, what, more than 250 in the day, because people shop. Before we're even on air, they saw this deal. Over 320 of those gone as well. So, and Marilyn has 3 more shows. This is a deal of a lifetime, because you don't have to choose. And so if you're like me and you can't pick a favorite and you're like, I don't know, wait. You get them all. You get them all. It's so exciting.
She's very funny. She said she can't even decide what ice cream, but now you can decide.
No. I'm usually between green ice cream, so the mint or the pistachio. It's usually one of those 2 green ones.
But you now can have one of all of them. You can start with Pheromone, which is my classic, which was my first fragrance. And you know, Pheromone was created for the woman who lives life as an adventure with love. And that's my show, my love show.
This is our love show, yes. And Marilyn, once again, for me, I'm fascinated by the history when people take time to make things properly. Do keep in mind, Marilyn still makes fragrances the way fragrance is. It's the art of fragrance making. So using the true essential oils, which is really
and we still
not all fragrances are like that.
And we still need a nose to determine what kind of a fragrance it will be. A machine no longer, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And this is probably why when you go to the beauty stores or that big S store at the mall, you find that when you go to the fragrance section, every single fragrance starts smelling the same. So you know what? All women are different. We're not cookie cutter. We should not be all wearing the same fragrance. That's what makes us so fascinating, right? Even if you don't like fragrances, as we heard our caller, as it was Linda. Think about that. If you don't love fragrance, even Linda's loving Destiny. So every single Marilyn Miglin fragrance is a work of art. It's the way fragrance was made, the way it's meant to be made, using those true essential oils, which, by the way, are incredibly costly to do. So keep in mind, when you buy a Marilyn Miglin fragrance, this is special. This is not what every woman in the world is wearing.
And you know, Leslie, when I created Pheromone, I really thought that it would be wonderful if every woman had that birthright to be able to try a fragrance that was elegant, that was sophisticated, that was very special. And I thought, even though it was very, very costly, that if I had the eau de parfum, that woman could enjoy what it was to smell like very sophisticated and very elegant and very special.
Very rich. Because when you think that the 1 ounce of the pure perfume is $600, that is just, I mean, that makes
it's a phenomenon.
You put it on and it transforms your mood and your energy, and you walk taller.
You do. And people talk to you and they feel better, and they say, gee, what have you done? Because you're standing a little straighter.
I gotta be honest with you too. Whenever I see Marilyn Miglin, I'm like, how do I look? What am I wearing? You know, I just, you exude or you demand this respect, which is really beautiful. And so when you wear beautiful fragrance, people react, and that's the most important thing. Today, you don't have to choose, you get all 4.
And they know. They can tell that it's really special, as you can, and that's what you emanate.
So 5 minutes left in this presentation. Very popular this morning. We knew it would be. That's why we made it our showstopper. If you're experiencing a little bit of a hold, everybody, be patient with us, or definitely visit hsn.com or a free mobile app to go ahead and do your shopping, but get your hands on this, because this is a one-of-a-kind collection where you try all 4. Let's walk through the fragrance pyramids once again, and we are starting off with the one that started it all. You want to know what Marilyn Miglin fragrance is about? This is the famous pheromone. People on the street stop you to find out what it is and why they're attracted to you,
and this one is the one that means attraction. And you know, when I was working on Pheromone, the marketing men, and they were all men at that time, said, you can't name it Pheromone, no one will be able to pronounce it. That's all I needed to hear, Leslie.
You're like, never underestimate people.
Look at the leafy greens and the orange flower and the Italian jasmine and the geranium. were done, and the Iris of Florence, and the Cassis Absolute, and the sandalwood from the East Indies, and the oak moss, and the vanilla Absolute.
And
but
remember, that's just a little handful of the beautifully blended ingredients.
179 of them.
179. Now let's talk about the gold. And the gold has like a, gosh, like an effervescence. Like it's a little more sparkly, if you will.
Oh,
so
it
the
is
name
sparkly,
is perfect.
but it's also a little bit more seductive. It's a little bit richer, shall I say. And the Italian bergamot and the black currants, and it's all the way all of this is formulated. And the Absolute, the cassis, and the gold chamomile, and the ylang, and that ylang is such an amazing aphrodisiac.
Oh, Marilyn, by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt you. As you can see, close to 500 now gone. Thank you for your calls. If you want this, jump on in. You get all 4. Okay, and so that's the gold. And Marilyn, we can't get this.
Then we have the marigold and the vetiver.
And we can't get the gold anywhere else. This was by popular demand and request.
Right.
So
this wasn't going to be in the show other than for all of those requests.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Okay. So very exciting to have something nobody else has. And then here's the
and look
breeze,
at the
new
pink
one.
grapefruit. And this one is breezy, and this makes your nose, shall we say, you just get a little effervescence with this one. It's a lovely, lovely scent for any time of the year, but it's light, it's breezy. Sandalwood is the base, the white jasmine, the Dakota lily, the linden, and Leslie is familiar with linden because her grandmother made that tea.
My grandmother was like the love of my
yellow,
life. It
the
reminded me of her.
honeysuckle, and the orange blossoms, and the mandarin, and the pink grapefruit.
And so this is the newer one. If you're already a pheromone fan, try this one out. And then one more. Here's the pheromone jasmine. And so with the pheromone jasmine, oh, I do love jasmine flower.
All of the ingredients in pheromone, but we've added a little more jasmine. But you have the ivy leaves and the green, and some of these are intermixed as from our other fragrances as we've gone through them. But the sandalwood oil and the vanilla and the labdanum and the ylang and the jasmine petals from sambac jasmine and the ivy leaves and the fresh green and the fresh geranium.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
It's all just a wonder. And by the way, you can mix these.